Yay Networks.
Hey guys, my name is Heather Lindsay.
And my name is Cornelius Lindsay.
And I'm so excited that you landed on Life with the Lindseys.
This is so exciting. This gives us an opportunity to share our life with yours.
Yes, we're going to be talking about everything from entrepreneurship to ministry to your purpose to why you are here, family, parenting, relationships, marriage, sex, you name it. We are talking about it.
So thank you so much for joining us today with Life with the Lindseys. Enjoy it.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Welcome to Life with the Lindseys. My name is Heather.
Lindseys. My name is Cornelius.
So we don't have video today because we are traveling. We traveled last week and we traveled this week.
And I travel the next week after that.
Right. And we forgot to charge the battery.
Welcome to our life.
Right? I'm like, wait, we can't record video today.
To our life.
This struggle is real. But something's really exciting happening today.
Yep.
My baby daddy.
Yeah, releasing my book today.
Come on.
I'm so excited. Book
Come
number
on.
15, 16. I forgot.
Let's go.
Yep. It's called Escape the Box. And it is a very realistic tale or like, story of my life where I kind of share a lot. I think Suffering in Silence is one book where I shared a lot. I was very transparent, very authentic, but I think this is probably my most transparent, my most authentic book.
I love it.
Because I go all the way back to my childhood. I have a chapter in there about my relationship with my grandfather. It's called Piss Against the Tree. And so I go back, I talk about belonging and the desire to belong. I talked about being bullied as a child. I talked about depression. I talk about anxiety. I talk about feeling like I grew up too fast, feeling like I didn't really have a childhood. I talk about.
It's so good.
Oh man, I talk about friendship. I talk about marriage. I talk about fatherhood and even how I struggled in the beginning as a father because I just kind of didn't know what the heck I was doing. And it's just a very transparent book. I talk about people bondage. I talk about the journey, what it looks like to escape your box, what it means to escape your box, and why I think it's so important for people to get out of their box. Yeah. And then also the kind of the hazards, I would say, for people who want to escape the box, but they are so afraid to because they're afraid of what other people are going to think about them.
I need to go get my copy.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Yeah, and it's going to be available in paperback and hardback. You can go to Amazon.com and it's paperback, hardback, and then I also have the Kindle version. And I've already had people who the Kindle version came out Monday. And I didn't realize it was coming out Monday. I just got an email that was like, oh, the Kindle version is now available. And the team was like, yeah. So people started messaging me saying, oh my goodness, I love this book. Thank you. And I was like, yay. I thought you're supposed to be getting it on Friday.
I wish I would have had it for our trip. I could see myself on the beach reading.
Yeah, it's going to be dope. But I have a paperback version, I have a hardcover version. You can also go to my website, CorneliusLindsay.com. And on my website, you can actually order a copy of the book, either paperback or hardcover, and I will sign it and I'll ship it out to you.
Nice.
But if you don't want my signature, because you don't want my signature, you can just go to Amazon. Just go to Amazon. Signature? You can have my signature, babe. You can go to Amazon and you can buy it
naked, like butt naked.
Can I sign it butt naked?
Sunning your balls.
Right. All right.
Okay.
All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Praise the Lord.
You didn't answer me.
Girl, what are we talking about today? I'm not about to sit here and play this game with you.
Yeah. That's funny when I got my blood checked because I was like, I feel like I have a lot of extra testosterone. He said, nope, it's just you being aggressive. It's just my personality.
Oh, praise the Lord.
I'm going to get it signatured. I'm going to get my signature.
All right. Come on.
So what today, I feel like so many people struggle with breaking out of the box, right? Mostly because of what people are going to think.
Yeah.
It's mostly because they feel like
their parents are going to disagree, or people on social media aren't going to support, or their friends are not going to agree with them, whatever. I feel like people are looking for reasons when you step outside the box to come up against what you're saying. Like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, you're not qualified. I remember when we first started preaching, I got a ton of messages from people. This was like social media in 2010 that were like, who qualified you? You're not qualified to preach. You know, even when we got quote unquote ordained, people were like, you know, you're still not qualified. And it's just like, we kept going and we kept doing what God called us to do. And then all of a sudden people were like, oh, your ministry is a blessing to us. But we had to go through the fire to get there. Yeah. We had to deal with so many people's opinions, so many people's thoughts, you know, of how we need to do things and what we need to do. So,
yeah, I think that, I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, people are going to make assumptions.
Yeah.
They're going to assume. I actually talk about that in the book. And I think part of that is recognizing that even if you do not believe, that I can escape this box, that is something that I have to do, and I have to do it for myself, because I believe that there are repercussions for people who choose to live in it. I mean, there's some people who die in their box because they don't feel like, maybe I'm good enough to escape my box. They don't feel like they have enough strength to escape their box. So they feel like I'm going to be judged harshly if I do get out of the box.
I mean, look at Jonah.
Yeah. What do you mean?
So Jonah, he got thrown off the boat, right? Because he was heading in the wrong direction. He was trying to go and disobey God and do what he wanted to do. And, you know, obviously he prayed in the whale and he got thrown up. But what if he didn't? Like, what if he would have, how many people are dying in their whale?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I understand it. I didn't understand where he was going with it, but yeah, that actually makes sense. Yeah, because I mean, you're literally inside of this place, and I want to make sure some people know, like, this doesn't necessarily have to be a place of disobedience. I do like how you mentioned that you know, it's a place of disobedience for some people. For some people, the box is created by the words that have been spoken over you. Like I write about it in the book. I think the first couple of chapters kind of explain the box, and those are the words spoken over you. Like some people, when you grew up, if you grew up in a community like mine, you know, I'm Black. Y'all didn't know it, and I grew up in a Black community, and sometimes black folk, man, we can be harsh with each other. And my cousins and my aunts and my uncles, I mean, harsh.
Roast sessions. That I am uncomfortable with at this point in my life. So to be roast a child into,
I never forget when you started coming like to the house, start coming to barbecues and stuff like that, and you're like, are you like y'all don't think that's a problem? And I'm like, man, this is something that we've always known. Like,
it's a little traumatic though.
It is in many ways. It's extremely toxic. But it's like, it's all we know. So we just sit there with a plate in our lap. We just kind of laugh as cousin, you know, Jones, this other cousin. They just have Jonah sessions, and it gets so mean. Like, you know, you how many plates you gonna get? You could barely breathe walking over, and it was that, but. You know, some of the words that you were called, it was, you know, when you were called stupid when you were a kid over and over again, or ugly or fat.
It's like a curse.
Yeah. And I don't believe that identity is created from the words that we're called. I think identity is created from the words that we choose to believe.
Come on, babe. That's a word right there.
And once we are called the thing over and over again, we just choose to believe it. And once that gets inside of our soul, it becomes a part of our identity. It's not the fact that I was called stupid. It's the fact that I believed that I was stupid.
Yeah.
So now my future was shaped by my actions, because my actions were shaped by my words, and my words was that I was stupid. So over and over again, that just became the box that I lived in. I lived in this stupid box where I couldn't do anything right because I was stupid.
Aww.
I'm not saying me. I mean, I wasn't. One thing, I wasn't called stupid, but you know, things like,
you just think about that.
Fat boy. Yeah. It was like, you know, so even now I work out religiously, but I look in the mirror, I'm fat.
Do you think it's a coping mechanism from your past?
Working out? I don't honestly think it's a coping mechanism. I think I use it now in more of a healthy way. It kind of, you know, helps me with depression, anxiety, and, you know, and plus it's just really good for me.
I mean, it's really good for me too. So I totally agree.
Oh my gosh, here we go. But nevertheless, you know, because of all those things that you're called when you're a kid, those words begin to shape you.
Yeah, no,
They
that's
begin,
real.
and it becomes a box. And then, you have parental figures who, like I know, remember when we started going over to Africa, and, we started befriending a lot of Nigerians and, people who live in very distinct cultures. And I never forget, I was having a conversation with one of our Nigerian friends, and they said, oh my goodness, people, mom and dad, they always wanted me to be this. And in my culture, I need to be what they said. They want me to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And I think that in itself, like, she doesn't want to be a doctor.
Yeah.
But since mom and daddy said, you got to be a doctor, then it became, you got to be a doctor.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I never wanted this, but it became a box that she ultimately had to live in. And it just became bad. But the good thing is that therapy is available.
If you have
and I talk
childhood
about
trauma.
therapy in there. And so that's why we're very thankful for our sponsor, BetterHelp.
Y'all, going to therapy, I think, has changed both of our lives because it helps us to get to the root of our issues, to see why we're acting the way that we are.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we're trying to deal with the fruit on the tree and we're not dealing with the actual root of the tree. And so that's why we love BetterHelp. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online. You can send a message to your counselor anytime. You get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions. You don't have to wait in like an uncomfortable room, which is really nice.
Just so dope.
Right. You can do it via video. And the cool thing is you literally get matched with a therapist based on what your needs are.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're looking for a licensed professional therapist that specializes in depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, trauma, self-esteem, grief, family conflicts, anger, all that kind of stuff, then our sponsor, BetterHelp, is the one for you. It's convenient. It's professional. It's affordable. This is not a crisis line. This is therapy. And the greatest thing is I've had so many people who've went to it, who've received financial aid because maybe they couldn't afford the whole fee. So I think it's great. But we want you to start living a happier life today. As our listeners, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/Lindseys. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge over their mental health. Again, that is BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lindseys. BetterHelp, HELP.com/Lindseys, LINDSEYS. BetterHelp.com/Lindseys. But I actually talk about therapy in the book too.
I think it's interesting what you said beforehand. Like, some cultures are like, well, I was a doctor. Your daddy was a doctor. So I need you to be a doctor too.
Right.
So for those people who really, truly love their family but now they're doctors and they hate it.
Yeah.
And they want to go be singers or writers.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, no, you'd be a failure. Don't do that. You can't do that because, if you want to make money, then you want to do it. You got to do it this way,
Yeah.
And I think it's difficult for people to escape that box.
Very.
But I wonder if, we die in our whales, you know what I mean? We die in those places and let's just call it what it is, disobedience, right? Because we're taking the voice of the people around us as heavier than what God's telling us to do.
Yeah.
God's telling you to go there, then you got to go. I remember my physical health was being affected by staying in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And it's something so simple I shared on the podcast, our move to LA. And I remember I was getting hives.
Yeah.
Remember? And then when we would fly to LA, the hives would go away. And then I'd go back to Atlanta, the hives would come back. I've never got hives in my entire life. And it was just crazy that my physical body was breaking down due to like anxiety and panic attacks. And I was getting hives out of position, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as we moved here, all that went away, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Remember, I used to like just be scratching my legs. Like, what is wrong with me? Why do I have these hives? And so, I remember telling you, I think it's because I'm in Atlanta. You're like, what, girl? And I'm like, no, I really do. I feel like, our obedience is attached to where we're supposed to be.
Yeah, it is. And with people who, if you're in that situation and you have parents or you have parental guardians or you have counselors and all this kind of stuff who are telling you, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. And you kind of, you feel like, well, man, I really have to do this. Then it's very important for you, in my opinion, to get the book and to break out of the box. And for those individuals who are saying, yeah, I hear what you guys are saying, but the Bible says to obey your parents and you'll live longer. But you really, you're taking the scripture and you're using it for face value.
Yeah.
I want you to understand what it's talking about. It's talking about honor your parents. That's the original translation. Honor your parents. And what honor means that I'm willing to leave a good name for.
Yeah.
That's the difference between, blind obedience and actually honoring.
Mm-hmm.
So if the idea, if God's intention was for me to just honor my obey my parents, and my parents looked at me and said, here's a knife, I want you to go and stab that person over there.
Right.
And I'll obey them to go stab that person. And, the promise was I'm supposed to live longer because of that? Absolutely
Crazy.
not. The idea here is that I honor my parents. So if my parents hand me a knife and say, go kill that person over there, then I don't go do it.
Right.
Because my goal is to leave a good name for my parents.
Yeah.
So even though they may have wanted me to do something, then I know that wasn't the right thing for me to do. I'm honoring them, even in not obeying the very thing that they told me to do, because that's not what God is telling me to do. So you honor your parents. Absolutely, you honor your parents, but the way that you honor them is by leaving a good name for them. It's like, and I write about this in the book. Back in Newton, Mississippi, where I was born, people come to me and they would say, "Oh, you WC's grandson," and my grandfather's name was William Curtis Wesley. You WC's grandson, and I say, "Yeah." And they say, "Yeah, I see how you be acting in school. You a good boy in school." And so, my actions as a child were beginning to connect and relate with my grandfather. I was honoring my grandfather by my actions as a child. So, for those individuals who are like, well, the Bible says obey my parents and obey this and obey. Well, I can obey, but the idea is that I need to honor.
Yeah.
And I honor God because I'm going to leave a good name for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people need to do.
I think parents are one layer, but I think another layer, obviously it stems back to like our childhood, but it's for those people that feel like, why would I start a boutique? Why would I start a podcast? Why would I write a book? Everybody has already done that. I'm trying to escape the box, but God told me to write this thing 10 years ago and I still haven't done it. God told me to do this 10 years ago. God told me to do this 5 years ago. And I'm having a hard time escaping the box because I feel like it's already done. And I feel like I would be just another person doing it.
Yeah. I mean, you would be just another person doing it. But if you think that options is bad, then I think you should take a walk around a grocery store.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at all the different types of almond milk.
Right.
Like, it's like, I mean, how many brands of almond milk? And here's the crazy thing. The brands that are on the shelves are not even all the brands that are in the world.
Yeah.
It's like, how many doggone different brands of almond milk do you need?
Yeah.
Or cheese or, whatever. Like it's a ton of brands. Look at shoes. Look how many brands of shoes that are out there. Some people have their favorites, but everybody, there's just many different brands. And when you stifle and you put in a box what God has called you to do and what he's compelling you to do, then in my opinion, you keep that person who should be a partaker in your creativity, you keep them from it. And one of my biggest things is that nations are waiting for your obedience. People are waiting for you to finally do what it is that God said. So even if you start a podcast and only one person is affected by it, that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. It makes me think of Delta. They actually went bankrupt, I believe, at one point a while back, and they bounced back to being one of the number one airlines.
They're the number one airline right now.
Right. And so they didn't look at everybody else and say, oh, we're not going to start because we already see AirTran. Remember they went out
I
of
remember
business.
AirTran.
Southwest, Emirates. We already see all these airlines. No, they said, I'm going to keep pressing forward. And I think you'll see the fruit of, your obedience if you keep going, if you don't give up, regardless of what people say, regardless of their words, because people are always going to talk. They're always going to have something to say, whether you do nothing or whether you do something. If you do nothing, they'd be like, yep, I told you they weren't going to do nothing with their life. And if you do something, they say, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they want to be able to control you and control your narrative. So I think I love that you wrote about people bondage in the book, because I feel like that's a reoccurring theme, like in season and out of season. As a believer, I've been preaching for 12 years. And I feel like people bondage is like one of the number one things that people struggle with.
Right.
Because they're afraid to step out on faith because of what people say. And it's always something. But it's like, are you going to look up and be 60 years old, still wondering what people say? I think as you get older, you begin to care less more and more.
Yeah, you do. But it's a good topic to be able to talk to people about.
Yeah.
Because people need to hear it. People need to hear, and they need to be able to hear it so they can self-evaluate. Am I in people bondage? Am I doing what I'm doing now because I feel like
Yeah.
everybody's wanting me to do it? Am I doing what I'm doing now because I feel like, if I don't do this, then what will people think about me? And so, you have to be able to answer that question. I think it's a good one to answer. And speaking about answering that question, for all of our entrepreneurs out there who need something different and need the help, I think ShipStation would be an awesome tool for them.
You know what's interesting? I started my boutique, and at the time there was a lot of boutiques out there, but it was big boutiques like Forever 21, the big ones. And I still said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I am going to start my boutique. And I thank God for ShipStation, because from the very beginning, ShipStation has helped me to ship out all of my products. It's so cool. Like literally everything is on one portal.
Yeah.
So I can ship, I can track it. An email goes right to the people. You can import orders from any sales channel. You can ship using any carrier. And I love that there's a ton of discounts on there. And you can automate just about any shipping task.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Last year was a hot mess.
Yeah.
You had shipping delays, supply shortages, holiday demand. And now a lot of y'all, you're starting the new year with impatient customers, returns, and expensive shipping rates. So it's time to switch to a shipping solution that can handle it all painlessly.
Yeah.
So, the good thing is with ShipStation, you can save time, you can save money, and you can also save your sanity knowing that your orders are handled and you're getting the best rates. So ship more in less time with ShipStation. Use our offer code LWTL to get 60-day free trial. That's 2 months free of no hassle, stress-free shipping. Just go to ShipStation.com, click on the microphone at the top of the page, and type in LWTL. That's Life with the Lindseys. It's LWTL. ShipStation. Make ship happen. So that's ShipStation.com. Click the microphone at the top of the page and type in LWTL. ShipStation.com.
Yeah.
And another big piece of the book, as we kind of go for close of this, that I write about is the good boy syndrome. I think that is, out of everything in the book, the good boy syndrome is probably the one that I'm most excited about in the book. And I think that starts in the chapter I was talking about, Piss Against a Tree. That good boy syndrome.
What does that mean? Tell us about the good boy syndrome.
It is, I grew up, and I kind of give you the overview. So it's like that chapter, Pissed Against a Tree. I grew up between two directives. I had my grandfather, who was my best friend growing up. He would, he told me, he said, go outside and piss against a tree, and I'd go out with him, hauling wood or whatever. And my grandmother and my mom, they were very much like, don't do that. You either go to a bathroom. Go to a bathroom.
Sounds like your parents.
Yeah. Don't pee outside. Go to a bathroom and make sure you lift the seat. And if you pee on the seat, make sure you wipe it off and make sure you flush it and make sure you do this. And I was in Montana, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I forget the first time I went. And I was staying this in this house with all these other guys on a retreat, and all the bathrooms were taken. And I asked the leader, Brian, in Brian style. I asked Brian, I said, hey, all the bathrooms are taken. Hey, where can I go pee? And he said, go piss outside. I thought, oh, yeah, I can do that. And I went outside and I peed outside, TMI. But nevertheless, it was almost like peeing outside. It took me back to that moment as a child.
Yeah.
And then it just brought a lot of tears to my eyes. I cried. I cried out there outside.
Aww.
Because I realized,
I didn't know that story, baby.
Yeah, I realized how much of my life was in a box. Because I was trying to be this good boy, and growing up, that's what people would say to me. They would say, "Oh, you're such a good boy. You're just such a good boy." And then I went from being a good boy to, the man of God. And it's like this image that you almost have to uphold. It is the nice guy. It's being the guy who, you don't make any trouble. You're just always respectful and always nice and always this. And it's just, it was pretty much all a lie.
Yeah.
And it was this image that you're trying to uphold so that you can almost be accepted by your elders and by these other people, because you're just the good boy. So I was always seen as the clean cut, always doing the right thing and, you're so mature for your age and that's how you want to be. And I was wasting away. And it took me until I was, in my early 30s to finally realize this is not who I am. This is not who I am. And then I had an idea because I was in church that the good boy was something that Jesus wanted me to be, because in many ways, the way that we teach Jesus, he's just this good boy.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is so nice and he's just so fair. Mm-hmm. And he's just so this. I'm just like, I'm reading about my Savior, and Jesus look at this man and says, "Oh, you want to follow me?" And the man says, "Yes, but first permit me to go bury my father." And Jesus looked at this man and said, "Let the dead bury the dead."
Mm-hmm.
How nice!
It's not very nice.
It's not very nice. It's not nice.
Yeah, in society standards.
In society standards, it's not very nice.
Yeah,
But Jesus is always created as this happy hippie that just kind of walks around with a bunch of friends. And so, yeah,
that's real.
That idea of being the good boy or the good girl, because I think women can really relate to it as well. I had a lot of women who said they relate to it as well. It's stifling.
That wasn't my story. I just lived however I felt at all times, and people didn't have really any expectations of me.
Yeah, I had a lot of expectations.
I had none. And I don't know if it was being raised by Linda. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Linda ain't gonna put no expectations.
My mother is not putting any expectations on you, but to wake up and breathe. That's it. She's just thankful that you're here. But it's so crazy how our upbringings are so different. Because for me, growing up, I could be free to be who I was. Right. Yeah. A little too free to be who I was. But now as an adult, I don't feel like I had to grow up too fast. I feel like I had a childhood. I feel like I was okay. Right. Yeah. Because I had no expectations. Matter of fact, I remember my coach was like, "Oh, she's not going to graduate high school." If anything, people were like, "Oh, she ain't going to do nothing with herself." So I think that's why people are so surprised that God used me in the way that he does, because people had no expectations. I didn't graduate top of my class. I was in honors barely. I had a 3.0 and I barely made it. You know what I mean? Now I ran track and I was good at sports and stuff, but I wasn't expected to be successful, right? Yeah. Nobody had those high expectations of me. And you're right. If people have high expectations of you, it's almost like you want to meet those. And that's hard as a child.
It's extremely hard.
Right.
And I was voted most likely to succeed.
That's so funny.
In high school.
And I wasn't anywhere near it.
I was class president my sophomore, junior, and senior year of high school. When I got to college, University of Georgia, as a freshman, I was elected as a senator on campus. I was going to make the mock trial team, at the University of Georgia. I was trying to make it as a freshman.
Yeah,
I was.
And you would have if you didn't leave.
Yeah, I was in. I ultimately dropped out of college, but I was in the top 10 of graduating in over 400 kids, in high school. So, I had a lot of expectation. Wow. I remember, being young and having to be at church, and I was an usher, and I had to you had to be a good boy when you're an usher. Because you got to stand there, you got to put your arm behind your back, you got to know when to hold the door.
But I also remember my mom being like, "Hey, if you're gonna have sex, get on birth control."
Yeah, no, oh my God, no. It was those kind of things were just unheard of. They were unspoken of. But here's the thing that I write about in the book. I was a good boy on the outside, but on the way I could get around and escape scrutiny, because I was never the one that was expected to do anything bad.
See, I was probably expected.
So I remember there's this adult entertainment store called Starship. And I remember I was like, I went to the store because I was like, I wanted to go to the store. So I went to the store, but I was under 18 or whatever it was. But I had a fake ID from the time that I was 15 years old.
But nobody expected it.
Nobody expected it because I'm the good boy. So I had a fake ID with a entirely fake name. I use color contacts. It's the craziest thing in the world, but nobody expected it. And I remember we were married when I finally told my mom.
Right.
It was years, over a decade over. And I'm like, yeah, I had a fake ID. My mom was like, you had a what? But that was never the expectation.
Yeah.
That was never my expectation.
So is that why you're always like Logan? Be yourself.
That's why I'm like, Logan, just be yourself.
Because he tries to be the good boy.
He tries to be the good boy
at all times.
Yes, and I'm like,
where
nope.
does that come from? Do you
I'm
think
like,
it
nope.
comes from like?
I don't know, because I don't feel like we have set these high expectations for him. We let him live. Like I want you to live.
Yeah.
I want you to thrive.
Yeah.
And you're going to figure it out along the journey. And I'm here to help mold you along the journey. But if I just kind of stifle you down, then that's going to be problematic later on.
Yeah. He said something like maybe a couple months ago. He's like, I'm just stressed sometimes because, I feel like I got to take care of Logan or Roman and Taylor. I was like, what?
No, you don't.
I was like, you don't have to take care of them.
And if you did, you're doing a horrible job. So.
Right.
Parents.
He's like, I just feel responsible for them. I was like,
no.
I just came to enlighten you that you're not responsible for your little brother and sister.
Yeah.
You can look out for them. Y'all can look out for each other, but it's not your job to raise them. That's our job.
That's our job.
And so he puts a lot of pressure on himself.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. And speaking of putting pressure on yourself, we want to take all the pressure off of you by sharing with you a ritual, which we've talked about before, especially when it comes to protein powders. Protein powders can be intimidating, but the fact is that we all need protein. It's not just about muscles. Protein helps support bone health and satiety. And as we go through life, protein needs change. So it's important to choose a mix for different life stages. Ritual's Essential Protein is a delicious plant-based protein powder with 3 distinct formulas designed to meet the body's changing protein needs. And the great thing about, all of this, talk about protein and Ritual is that while we're sharing with you the idea of the protein powder, Ritual also has the vitamins that I think come and really save the day, because you have the one for men, you have the one for women, and then you also have the one for children. So make sure that not only are you hearing information about protein powder, make sure that you also go and you make sure that you sign up for the subscription for their vitamins.
Definitely. So y'all, it tastes great. They have a super flexible subscription service. It's super easy. Just add water, shake, and sip. Now they have 3 different thoughtful formulas: the daily shake for 18 and older, daily shake for 50 and older, and then one for pregnancy and postpartum. And come on, ladies, y'all know we need something that helps meet those demands of pregnancy and breastfeeding. It's traceable. There's daily support. It's great in taste. It's just the good stuff. There's no added sugar or sugar alcohols. It's soy-free, gluten-free, non-GMO. Who does not love a totally clean protein, right, babe?
Yep.
Now, come on, y'all. Let's get ready to shake up our protein ritual. Our listeners get 10% off during your first 3 months at ritual.com/LWL. Ritual even offers a money-back guarantee if you are not 100% in love. Visit ritual.com/LWL today for 10% off your first 3 months.
Perfect. But yeah, so in talking about that, we see that in Logan, but Taylor is completely different. Taylor's like, I'm gonna live my life.
Taylor's me.
Taylor's like, whatever.
Taylor's
like,
me.
I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and
that was me.
And then Roman, but Roman's a complete wild card. So
man,
Roman's a wild card.
Y'all, Roman's
a combination of both of us, and I'm
nervous.
I'm nervous. But that is one thing that I do get. I do think about with Logan is
he's super hard on himself.
He's super hard, and I was like that. I was super hard on myself.
In you, because it's passed down to our kid.
Yeah, I don't. It might be I would say probably a piece of his personality.
Yeah,
and I just think that what I've been seeking to do now is seeking to mold it.
Yeah.
So as his father, it's like, nope, you're gonna have fun. I just want you to have fun. I don't want. Yeah, I tell him all the time, like, nope, you're not a parent. I'm the parent. Let me take all the responsibility of a parent. I just want you to go have fun. Just go get dirty. It's okay. Like, you can go and have fun. And he looked at me, he's like, are you sure? Yes, I am sure. Go have fun. Just laugh. And, because I know what that's like. It's a part of my personality.
Serious. You're right. It is a part of your personality. He gets super serious.
I remember I failed a social studies test when I was younger. And I remember when I took it to my mom, because back then you had to get your test signed when you failed them. I took it to all my classmates would sign. They would forge their parents' signatures, but I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I took it to my mom.
Yeah, Logan would
signed.
never.
And when I did, I remember I told her, I said, because I failed my test, I am not going to play the video game. And I grounded myself. And I gave
of course you did.
I gave her my TV and my VCR and my video game from my room, and said, this is what I'm going to do.
That's like the perfect child. So any parent would be like, oh my gosh, like you.
That's amazing. Yeah.
That's amazing. But that's something Logan would do.
Logan would do it in a heartbeat.
And so it's definitely a personality.
It's definitely
for
part
sure.
of my personality.
And so, yeah, no, you're right. He does stuff like that. And even if he'll do things to build trust. Like he'll call me and be like, hey mom, can I stay up 30 minutes later? You know, like versus just staying up and trying to sneak it, you know, but no, he's like, I want my parents to know exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I remember we were doing something and I said, Logan, just let go and have fun. You're so serious. The kids were in there dancing and he's just annoyed that they were dancing. And I'm like, you know, you want to get up and dance, have fun, relax, stop being so calculated.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's how I lived. And that was the box I had to get out of.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that it took me to get to my mid 30s. I'm 35 now. It took me to get to my mid 30s to realize that I was in that box, but it's time for me to escape it. Because here's the thing. If I'm being honest, the box I was in was not real.
Yeah.
It wasn't real. It wasn't authentic. I was living a life that I felt like I had to live in order to gain acceptance. And then to add that into church culture, to add the good boy onto church, like I'm so glad Logan doesn't have to go through that, you know, to kind of add that onto church culture where now it's like Jesus painted as this hippie and then you got to be the man of God. And in order, here 10 steps to be the man of God, how to be God's man and it's just like, I preached some of that stuff and, you know, I hate I did, but that kind of stuff, it kills, it stifles.
Yeah.
We think that it encourages and it builds up the man of God. But if it helped build up the man of God so much, then why do we have so many women inside of the church who are still looking for the man of God?
Yeah, that's real.
Because most men look at that and they're like, nope, that's bondage.
Yeah.
And the last thing men want to be is held in bondage.
Yeah.
That's the last thing. That's the reason why men don't want to come to church. They're like, no, that's bondage. And we're like, no, it ain't bondage. It's just the word of God. There's nothing in the Bible even talks about, you know, it talks about specifically about, you know, this man of God. That's why we have to take examples from different men of God. And we take examples from men who weren't perfect. We take the best of David's moments and none of his
Titus 2 man.
Yeah, the Titus 2 man, you know, we take the best of David's moments. Well, we just kind of forget about the other parts, you know?
Yeah.
We forget that David, you know, committed adultery. We forget that we forget all these things that David did, and we say, "Well, this is the kind of thing that David did."
He's a man after God's own heart.
Man after God's own heart. And it's like, man, no.
There's something beautiful about being a man or a woman after God's own heart, with like authenticity, where it's just like, man, I'm not perfect. I know I'm not, but God loves me.
And that's what David was inside of that cave.
Yeah,
that's what David was. His kingship, his kingdom was formed when he was writing those Psalms in the cave.
Yeah.
He was saying, I'm not perfect. I have enemies all around me. I don't know why they want to destroy me, but here I am, Lord. As a deer panteth for water, so my soul longs after you.
Yeah.
Like he's just saying, I do love you. Yeah. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And so
it's real.
That's the beauty of it. But I want you to escape your box again. Please go to Amazon.com. Make sure that you get it. Make sure I would love to share with your friends, put on your Insta story, all that kind of stuff. Yes. Please tag me, hashtag escape the box. I would love to be able to share it.
I'm going to be getting my copy.
Just letting people know, you know, the book is out there. Get your hardcover, get your paperback, whichever one. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So I'm really glad. And also, if you want me to sign any of your books, you go to CorneliusLindsey.com. You order it there, and I will be more than happy to sign your book, and also to ship it out. It's going to be amazing. So, be dope.
Congratulations, baby.
Thank you so much.
We need to celebrate. What do you want to do? Let's go to Hawaii.
Let's go to Hawaii. We're in Hawaii right now.
Congratulations.
That's the reason why we don't.
That's what this is.
That's the reason why we don't have video.
Baby.
What?
This. Oh my gosh! So it's your mom's birthday and your book release. That's what Hawaii's for.
That's what Hawaii is for. That's what we're doing. So yeah, y'all, we're in Hawaii right now. So praise the Lord. It's really fun. But God bless y'all, man. We really appreciate y'all. Thank you for rocking with us again. Go to CorneliusLindsey.com. Order your books to get them autographed. If you don't want that, you can go to Amazon. You can get Kindle, hardcover, and paperback. And the Audible will be coming out soon. So God bless y'all. Love y'all so much.
Bless y'all.
Bye.